Hi everyone, welcome to Singing Tips Live. My name is Benita Charles. I hope everyone's having a great weekend. Coming to a close with Sunday, but we're not quite there yet. But anyway, I hope everyone's having a great weekend. My name is Benita Charles. Every week I come on and I give singing tips to beginner singers to help them become professional. This is an artist development show. We cover everything from marketing tips, business tips, performance tips, everything that can help make a success for the artist. A lot of these tips are universal, so people from all professions have found value from these tips. So thank you so much for joining me every week. We are in 2020. We're in a new decade, so it's really exciting time. A lot of exciting things are going on. Last week we talked about your New Year's goals and how to make that happen with aligning with your purpose. And this week I wanted to talk about your story because I feel like your story is who you are, where you came from. It makes you... Hi, Sandra. How are you? Thanks so much for coming in. Welcome to Singing Tips Live. My name is Benita Charles. Every week I come in and I give artist development tips to help take you to your next level of success. And so last week we talked about New Year's goals and aligning with your purpose. And this week I wanted to talk about your story, because your story is, it makes up who you are, where you come from, your background. And I really feel like that has a lot to do with your purpose, because a lot of times, you know, your experiences and the things that make you who you are, a lot of times will lead you to, or your purpose comes from all of the things that you've experienced. I like this quote: "A story is a snapshot in time that gives someone a glimpse of who you are." And that was by Maria Brophy. And this is a YouTube video that she has called Telling Your Story, How and Why It's Important for Artists. But I really like that because, you know, where you come from and your experiences really make up who you are, what you bring to your art. So there was a YouTube video that I saw, how to tell your story so people connect with you, and this is by Evan Carmichael. Now he's a really great, successful, inspirational guru. He covers a lot of A-listers and well-known people, the top 10 quotes from these people, and he has a lot of inspirational videos. And he did this video on why it's important to tell your story, because it connects you with your audience. And a lot of times, if your audience feel connected to you, they're more willing to buy from you, or, you know, get what you have to offer. So he says your story helps people make that connection, and your story can make the difference between someone who wants to buy your art and someone who's just passing by. Your story tells who you are and why you're doing your art. And to me, that really goes back to your purpose, your why, as to why you're doing things. And really connecting to that purpose makes all the difference in the world in terms of your goals and what you're trying to do and how far you go. You must be authentic and honest with your story. People can tell when you're not honest, when you're fake, and that's the quickest way to lose people. You know, if people discover that you're not honest, discover that you made something up, or you're not who you say you are, that is the quickest way to lose people. So you don't want to do that. And I found another great article in Success Magazine, success.com, How to Tell Your Story by Kendra Hall. And she is, that's her specialty. She specializes in going into corporations and working with people to help bring their story out. So one of the things that she says is your story must have identifiable characters. And so, when you hear people do speeches, or people, even just in everyday conversation, when they bring up a story, it's usually about a person. A lot of times it's about their own experience, someone that they know in their life. And also, she said that it could be an animal too, because you know how animals have their own little personalities, and they're like people sometimes. So, your story should have an identifiable character. Number 2, the story must include emotion. And that is so true. When I used to do speeches in Toastmasters and I used to compete, a lot of the speeches had personal stories, and they always had emotional element to it. And those were the speeches that won. I remember this one contest that I was in. Well, I think this particular contest, I was an audience member, and there was a person who did a speech, and he talked about his wife. There was a point in their relationship where they almost parted, and there was a scene that a moment that happened in his life, and he was in a car, and they were trying to decide if they were going to stay together or not, and it was just. He brought us to that car, and I felt like I was sitting there watching the relationship unfold. It was so riveting, and he ended up winning. But it was very emotional. So that's a great example of someone who used that element to the max, and he won the contest. So it worked. So when you're crafting your message, your story, those are the elements that you want to bring into the forefront. Hi, Robert. Thanks so much for coming in. We're talking about your story, like when it comes to your why, as to why you're doing things. Because last week we talked about setting your goals and aligning with your why. But your story, your background, your experience, who you are, your values, that's what I feel like that's just this isn't an article, but I feel like that your why a lot of times comes from your experience and something that happened in your life. And one of the things that this article says, she said, remember, people want to do business with people, not a company, a product. So the more you connect with people from your story, in connection to your why, and for you internalizing your why, I feel like you're closer to achieving what you would like to achieve, especially when it comes to your audience. There was another YouTube video that I found, and this was for artists, music artists, and one of the things that they were saying that, as an artist, you really want to convey your story to your fans, and your story, your identity, your style, all of those things are incorporated with each other. They're intertwined, and that's what makes you unique. So if you don't know your story, sit down and really think about where you come from. Think about some of the experiences that happened in your early childhood. Think about some of the influences, the people in your life, family members, teachers. When I did my one-woman show back in last year in October and August, that was one of the things that I had to do. Because at first I thought, I don't really have any experience. But when I sat down and I really wrote out exactly from, my early experience as a child, discovering that I could sing in church, through college, I was a vocal performance major. In high school, I did my first performance in a musical that gave me that first stage experience outside of the church. And just discovering all the things that I did along the way, and I realized, I said, I actually did do some things, and I learned some things along the way. So, don't rule out any of the experiences that you have, even, as your childhood, you're a young adult, if you're older, because I honestly believe that everything that happens to you happens for a reason, and it happens for the good. And, even if it's something bad, there's something good that you can come out of that experience and make you a stronger person, a better person, and give you a stronger, a more compelling story. Because a lot of times it's those tragic things or that hardship, and being able to overcome things can inspire someone. You just never know. You never know from what your experience or your lessons, who needs to hear it and who can benefit from it. And that's why it is good to share those experiences, those stories. So I thought that was a really good point, in terms of, especially as you are working towards your goals and your knowing your why, your purpose. Your background has a lot to do with that purpose, and don't rule it out. Just think about, but be authentic. Make sure it's who you are, not that it's not who you're trying to be, or it's fake. Because if you want to turn people away from you, or you want to lose business, let people discover that you're a con, or that it's not authentic. That is the quickest way to lose people. So, but yeah, I wanted to just share that with you guys this week. I'm sorry I got on a little bit later than normal, but I said, you know what? I still want to share the message. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Just to give you a recap, we're talking about your story, who you are, as opposed to in connection with your why. And a lot of times, as I said, when I used to do Toastmasters, and when I first started out, I wasn't incorporating stories in my speeches. And that was one of the things that one of our mentors said to me. She said, you're really good, and you have a great command of the stage, and you're entertaining. But if you really want to win, you really have to have that story. And as I used to attend the conferences and I saw the winning speeches, every speech that won had a personal story. That they had the speech centered around a personal experience. A lot of times they were riveting experiences, heartache, health challenges, relationship challenges. But a lot of times they overcame things, but you could identify with it. The audience could really identify. And that's the thing that you want to make that connection with. Me as a music artist, I want to connect to my fans. If you're not an artist, you may have customers, you may have clients, you may have a service, you may have a product, but a lot of times people are not gonna they'll be more willing to buy that product or service if they know who that person is behind that brand, and they know the story. And if it's a compelling story, if it's a story, for your, like, say you're doing a brand, but it's for a charity, because there's someone in your life, suffered from something, so you started this company. That's a great story. That's something that people would connect to and say, hey, I really like what she's doing, and I really want to help, or I want to support. So it's very important. But so anyway, if you don't have your story, if you don't know what it is, sit down and think about it. I will guarantee you will discover that there is something that you may have forgotten about, or something may jog your memory, and it's something that you can help someone else. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope you guys are having, hi Sterling, how are you? I hope you guys are having a great weekend. We're still at the beginning stages of the new year, so there's still time to get things going, to get things started, to achieve what you want to achieve. And as I said before, take that calendar out and schedule some things throughout the course of the year, so you're not just doing everything, at one point. you're going to do it throughout the course of the year. Connect with your audience with your story. Remember your why. Write out your goals every day and make it happen. So I hope that this was helpful. Oh, thank you. I'm glad it's helpful. I mean, a lot of this stuff I'm sure you guys know, but it's nice to be reminded. I know when I'm discovering things, it's like, it's not like a lot of this stuff is new, but sometimes you just have to be reminded because, as you're going along, so many things are going on in your life, but sometimes you just need to be reminded of these things, and I'm here to help. So thank you guys so much for joining. My website is benitacharles.com. You can always go to my website. I put up the recent, the last singing tip. The first show of 2020 is on my singing tip page on my website. If you click on that link. And as I said before, I started a Facebook group called Singing Tips Live Community. So please join. I really want to build this community after the show kind of thing. I've been posting the shows in there and just some inspirational messages. But yeah, I really want this to grow. So go to type in Singing Tips Live Community in your Facebook search, and come on in and join. Let's have more conversations there. Any suggestions that you guys have, let me know. Any suggestions for some shows that you'd like for me to do. I have something special coming up next week, so looking forward to that, and I'm very excited. I won't say, but you just got to tune in next week. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to give you back your weekend. Hope that you enjoy the rest of your week. Hope you have a great week ahead, very productive. I will see you next time on the next Singing Tips Live, and have a good one.